It's March 27th, 2024, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey, I'm TreesapJake, and I'm a WoW esports aficionado. Yeah, I thought I'd just steal yours today.
Okay. Okay. So I should have said like what? I'm a shaman enthusiast.
Well, you didn't have to. I thought the surprise would be that I'm actually also a WoW esports aficionado.
Well, that's not a surprise. I know you like WoW. I know you like esports. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not exactly like untrue, and it's not like I'm lying live on the internet. I'm being very serious. I am a WoW esports aficionado.
That's okay. You can tell the truth or lie on the internet. It doesn't matter. You'll get canceled either way. So
Either way, I'm lying.
I'll just make a website and say you're a liar, and it becomes the truth, right?
Yeah, if you go to www.jakeisaliar.com, you'll find Gerissar's smear campaign against my election to the WoW Council.
Oh, we got news on that later. That's well, kind of news. Before we get into the rest of it, though, obviously Big's not here. He's very busy. I believe he's like up to his eyeballs trying to get content out for Skill Capped. So he's that's his paying job. So hey, why not? Go do that and help educate the masses over on YouTube's. So he's doing that. But I guess how about you, Jake? You've been pretty busy lately too. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so obviously I missed the podcast, or about 95% of the podcast the last time.
True.
For our fantastic episode 200, which devastated me. Mostly because of the fact that I've had an incredibly busy few weeks. I've had a lot of stuff to do with music. I've been going through a lot of changes in my life, a new job, looking for a new place to move to. So my life has been quite hectic, which obviously that doesn't mean that I haven't been keeping up on all the current affairs on X, formerly Twitter. Obviously in the news and understanding what's going on. Obviously been playing lots of WoW. I've done a lot of stuff, playing a new comp. Similar setup, same different comp, but that's been really awesome. So yeah, I mean, all around busy in that regards. But I mean, who isn't nowadays? I feel like busyness is sort of the kind of norm. There's not as much time to relax.
It is. It's. I think that's that time of the season. The time of the year where, well, especially in the northern hemisphere, where spring's just around the corner or just came. So everything seems to be picking back up. It seems to start to steamroll a bit into the summer. So definitely feels like it's busier for me as well. Not as busy as you though. That's new job and everything. That's a bit much. So
it is. It's a lot. I mean, I feel like any change that you go through is always going to be a struggle. So I almost sort of, part of me almost misses the time during COVID lockdown where I was sedentary, I was stuck, I was in one place, but able to kind of enjoy the things that I enjoy. With the way that things change in life, like you've got to kind of get out there and like grasp it. Otherwise you just get stuck and you just become, as I said, sedentary. You don't really move, but my God, it was fun. I had a great time, but obviously life can come at you hard and fast. So you got to just grab it by the balls, as they say, or horns. I don't know. Maybe don't grab people. Horns. Yeah, maybe don't grab people by their balls or things. No. Anyway.
Those things don't enjoy that.
Yeah, but some people do. But anyway, I'll tell
you, next time you see an orc, run up and grab it by the balls and see what happens.
Yeah, sort of like that's what monks do, the rising sun kick, as it were.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a blackout kick, but all right.
Yeah. Tiger palm. Kiefer's kind of zooms you straight to the balls. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Well, on that note, here we are talking about World of Warcraft, and it goes there. Let's rather than do that, let's get into the degraded pass and see what you came up with for this week.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
All right, Jake, what do you have for us for degraded pass?
Well, you know what? I was actually when I was listening in on my car ride home the other week, I was listening in, and I actually got to enjoy the bumpers for once because I get to like enjoy them in their full majesty. So I just wanted to point that out because I was just as we're waiting for it there, I was just like, yes, finally I get to hear it last time. It was really interesting hearing that. But anyway, that's completely and totally off topic. Today's Need Greed Pass by me. I just wanted to kind of try something a little bit different. As you know, I love to do Need Greed passes with a different kind of perspective, something that's sort of like slightly off the wall. And obviously we've had a new game release, which I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit. There's been a new game release within the World of Warcraft setting called Plunderstorm, and as we've seen, there has been a lot of dev commitment. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of communication, which is great for Plunderstorm. That's fantastic. And obviously, there's a big, massive creator event that's happening that we're going to be talking about that I'm not going to go into detail. However, it got me thinking, sort of, what if you could choose, any of the sort of outlier Blizzard games, obviously not including World of Warcraft. I'm not talking about Arena, PvE, anything. What if you could choose any of the other Blizzard games that had an esports scene and then kind of flush it with full dev support, like total focus, a load of money for an esports event. You kind of, and everything in that's kind of needed for such an event to kind of go ahead, sort of like the like an arena, crowd support, funding, etc. Everything's covered. If you could choose a game, I'm going to choose 3 for you and have a choice. Okay, and pick this on what you'd like to see, what you find interesting. So I've kind of gone for a slightly different aspect. We're going to go for number 1, Plunderstorm. So the Plunderstorm is topical. It's there. We know what it's like. You run around. You have a bit of fun. It's not very serious at the minute, but it could be. Plunderstorm is one of them. The other one is Heroes of the Storm.
Yep.
So Heroes of the Storm obviously discontinued, but let's say it didn't. It has had an esports scene, and it's basically a MOBA with interesting aspects to it. The next one is StarCraft 2. And I know StarCraft 2 is big in general, but I don't think it's as big as it used to be. But that's an RTS, and obviously Blizzard originally did RTS games. And there was a huge StarCraft 2 and StarCraft esports scene. So those are the 3 options. And I pose the question to you, Gerissar.
Ooh.
Which one would you need? Which one would you greed? And which one would you pass?
Okay. So, So Battle Royale, a MOBA, or an RTS. This is hard. Because I love RTS. Like that was my jam for the longest time. Between Command and Conquer, obviously StarCraft, I guess Red Alert, although it's technically that's Command and Conquer too, redone, but I guess kind of different. And then of course the original Warcraft games, right? Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2. Not so much Warcraft 3. I was kind of out of by then, but I gotta say RTS was always, and I really do enjoy watching some of that strategy. That said, I'm not sure. I can't say I'm really as into StarCraft 2 as I was into StarCraft or previous RTSs. So that's hard. I really enjoyed HOTS, Heroes of the Storm. Even if you didn't know what the abilities were, you could kind of follow it and still really enjoy the gameplay. And there's a lot of counterplay. It wasn't like, I feel like StarCraft 2, it's very you pick up on this map, you pick that raise or whatever, and you do X, Y, Z. It's like speed chess. Like you take the first 20 moves and the same 20 moves every time. Whereas I feel like Heroes of the Storm has a bit more counterplay, and you have to be a bit more reactive. Plunderstorm is just kind of fun to watch. I'm not really enjoying I can't really say I'm going to enjoy an esports version of that. So I think I'm gonna have to need on Heroes, greed on StarCraft 2, and I'll pass on Plunderstorm. Plunderstorm's been fun to play, but I'm not. I don't know about making it a full esport.
That's interesting.
Final answer.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting because I feel like we align a little bit on that front. And I'm actually going to, I actually also am going to pass on Plunderstorm. And I'm going to start with my pass because I feel like it's a good point of topic to talk about. I don't think there's anything as exciting about watching Battle Royale, because especially Plunderstorm. From a viewer's point of view, they spend the first half kind of like grinding stuff, right? And then they go off and do all these, these moves and stuff like that. Yes, there's some excitement, but there's nothing like too crazy. It's not like I'm trying to think of the word. I think a match would take way too long, without the excitement of stuff. Now, bear in mind, MOBAs are similar in that regard. You kind of sit there, there's a bit of farming, but there is always some sort of action because it's a very small arena and there's always something going on. There's always some skirmishes. There's always some play that's going on. Look at League of Legends. Look how popular that is. There's something there. And I'm sure Plunderstorm will do fantastically well, but just for me as an arena player watching these games, I am used to having games that last between sort of 30 seconds to 5 minutes most of the time. 10 minutes if we're in a weird season. But that's the sort of game time that I'm used to. Anything that lasts a bit longer than that, I feel like, it's not that great. So I'm not personally sold on Battle Royale. So I'm going to pass it. Then you get the problem of greed and need. That's a difficult one because very much like you, Gerissar, I literally grew up playing Command & Conquer and Red Alert and Red Alert 2. Right, that I literally play those games, and then what got me into World of Warcraft was the fact that I played Warcraft 3 with a friend of mine who also got me into playing Command & Conquer and Red Alert, got me into playing Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne. I played both of those games so much. And when World of Warcraft was on the kind of horizon, me and him used to kind of just chat about it. And we almost used to kind of come up with stories in our head because we were like, we were like 11 or 12 or something like that. And we would sort of come up with these stories of putting ourselves in the world. And we were so excited to play it. And obviously, I'm the only one that's continued to play it 20 years on. But I love RTS games. No, nothing, of course, nothing wrong with that. But I love RTS games. And I think because I'm a massive League player, I probably wouldn't necessarily go and watch Heroes of the Storm because there's a reason why it's kind of done. I don't think any amount of extra money or cash would kind of make it any better. However, I think StarCraft 2, on the other hand, it has the potential because it's been incredible before, and with enough support, people kind of love that sort of game. They love the micro, they love all the aspects of RTS, competitive RTS playing. So I'm going to need StarCraft 2, and I'm going to greed Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, okay. So close, but not quite the same.
No, not quite the same.
Okay,
but I feel like it's an interesting one that Plunderstorm being the new game that we both kind of felt that it wouldn't be the one for us.
Well, I similar to you. Like I think it's fun to play. It's fun mayhem. I'm sure like into a little later into the game, there's some pretty cool counterplays that can happen. Oh look, there goes Jake running around the outskirts as a bush. Is he going to survive long enough? Oh, and there's Peekaboo and Sea-Doo going head to head over there. Peekaboo almost got him, but then all of a sudden Sea-Doo stunned him and he was able to get his health potion, got his health back. Okay, cool, right? But yeah, I see. Otherwise, it's like, oh, and they are DPSing a bunch of NPCs to get their level up, and they're DPSing some more. They got that really cool whatever. So yeah, it has moments, but I think similar to you. Well, I guess Counter is similar. It's almost similar to Arena. That when you watch at AWC, where they kind of run in, you get your first initial hits, and then it's almost 12 minutes later before you see the kill, right? So I don't know.
Do you know what I was just thinking about this actually? I was thinking about this the other day actually. What would make Plunderstorm really interesting to watch is if they did have a 3v3 arena version of it based off of our WoW arena, where you had the similar concept of you kind of both teams drop in to a much smaller arena that does have a storm that starts at some point and kind of it makes it a bit closer, and then you have drops on the other side. There's no I suppose there's no mobs to grind. Like you don't get levels per se. You stay the same level, but you can pick and choose your weapons and what items you want to use. And I think that
I
would
don't
be
know.
quite interesting.
I don't know. I think if we're gonna do Plunderstorm and actually have it as a good esport, it would have to be, I think, smaller amount of so rather than 30, less. I'd like to see a smaller arena, and I want to see the storm start right away.
Yeah.
So then it's a risk. Do you land on the outside to grind and maybe get caught in the storm right away, or do you land in the middle where everybody else is going to be, and then get knocked out really fast?
Yeah, tournament rules kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll
That'd
see.
be interesting.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. It is interesting that being that we both love WoW, that the one game that's WoW is the one we don't pick.
I just think I think there's a bitterness though. I will say, I don't know about you. I'm not going to speak for you, but I definitely feel there's a little bit of a bitterness there that they have this wonderful new game, and that's great. Blizzard, go off, like do your thing. Absolutely, totally understand that you're kind of like doing this new aspect within WoW. I think it's very innovative. I think it's very they're kind of like there's a sort of what's the word, not incentive, it's the kind of they've used their sort of intuition and kind of realized that actually they need something extra to kind of bring people in, and one of them is get them active sub to play Plunderstorm. Okay, great. I think it's a really great concept. I just think it makes me feel bitter as an arena player, someone that plays PvP in what is quite possibly the best PvP game ever created, to then feel like there's no support, no love, no passion going into that side of the game when it could have been just something so fantastically great. I feel like I've sort of repeated myself multiple times when I say that, but it could have been something so fantastically great if it had the support that it deserved. And all of that support has gone into, I mean, clearly they've taken all the PvP devs and gone, actually, you guys are going to be balancing PvP and Plunderstorm. And I think that's kind of what's happened.
I think there's a lot of dev work that went into Plunderstorm. I honestly think most of the dev work right now is going into the War Within. I think,
also probably that as well.
Yeah, I think that's season 4 is just going to be a copy paste of season 3, and season 3 is where it is right now because the pause during esports, there wasn't anything serious enough that required more than that, and and then now that AWC ended, they were able to do some changes, and now obviously they're back into the War Within full strength, because that alpha is just around the corner, so they got to get that nailed down pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, it all comes down to it's story into questing in all the systems, and make sure that all works together, and then PvP will be looked at. So, and because there's no PvP dev, those same devs are all working on War Within and trying to develop all those systems, and then they'll switch over and look at the PvP side.
Yeah.
So,
no, I agree. I think that's probably exactly what they're doing, and it's very unfortunate. It's a massive shame that is the case, but we've got to you just got to take it on the chin and just hope for the best. I think I'm sure that eventually, I mean, the numbers from this esports, because this is the thing, right? Surely, Adrian and others within the WoW esports team are kind of coming back to Blizzard and going, look, here's the numbers. Look at the numbers on this. Look how many people watched this AWC. Now, having sort of how many people was it? 34K, something like that, or was it like 24K? 24,000 people on Twitch at least. I think it might have been about 30,000, including YouTube and everything, spread across all platforms, watching the AWC. The last couple of tournaments. That's been fantastic. You should be able to, they will be feeding that back. So eventually, hopefully, in the War Within, there'll be, like there was in early Dragonflight, a lot more changes, a lot more support, a lot more commitment, and eventually they'll go, okay, yeah, we're going to put more in there, and hopefully the Microsoft, Activision Blizzard merger does something as well. I mean, I'm just being too optimistic, but that's would be my hope and dream.
I think there's a little hopium there, buddy. Not
Maybe.
gonna lie. I honestly, I think they're gonna turn around and say, look, 25,000. We need lands because the reason why it spiked was it was EU versus NA. The two top teams in both regions. Amazing gameplay. And people are gonna look at that and go, great. Okay, so we're doing the right thing. Everything's good. We'll budget for a LAN next year, so you'll get extra money to bring people into a LAN and try to figure that all out. In the meantime, yeah, great. So Arena's working great, and you have a lot of people watching it. Perfect. So all those people, and that's just complaining, and we're just going to ignore that.
Yeah, I think
that's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. But
not bitter though.
No, of course. But I think EU are just a better region. I'm joking.
Whoa!
But sorry. I apologize.
No, you don't.
I'm not apologizing.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. It's the truth, and it's proven. No, I'm kidding. But I think the main thing is I would love to see some physical lands come back. I don't want none of this. Oh no, we lost because of the lag.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it. It's boring. It's so boring to have to see that drama come up where people are discrediting other people because of lag and everything like that. It's just boring. Like why would you ever bother doing that? It's just it's silly to me. So I think it would be fantastic for them to come to like a middle ground. I think they should host some of the lands in different regions. They should bring people over, it'd be fantastic for them.
I'd love to have microlands all throughout, so it's not like the big teams, but it's like the local big teams. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be good to have them to actually get people. I think the problem with that is getting people across the United States is long, and getting people from Europe together is long. Well, but people should be able to get their own tickets to the location. And for the prize money. I think if you can kind of inject a bit more money back into WoW Esports, you'll find sponsors and companies that are willing to pay for that travel to get their teams over with the chance to win some money.
I mean, so imagine this: EU, 8 different region locations, open invite. $5 per member at the door. So 4-person team, that's $20. All that goes into getting it. It's just like an entrance fee. And then, that also, goes to that pays for the venue and pays for all the setup and everything. And at the end, if you have some money left over, that's the prize pool. And top team ends up getting an invite to BlizzCon LAN or a worldwide LAN invitation.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of. I'd love to see Asian teams get in.
Yeah, I'm just saying that for EU, like do the same thing. NA, maybe 10 different places or 16 different places because North America, South America, Canada, is included. All those places. Same over Taiwan, Korea, a bunch of places. Maybe China if NetEase gets into there. But yeah. We'll see. Before we, since we're talking about events and that, though, why don't we actually talk about the events that are planned instead of the things that we would like to see? How about we do that? Here we go.
Yeah, let's do it. I was waiting. Okay.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Worst transition ever. Well done, Gerissar. All right. So, I'd love to see all that stuff, but instead we have to, we'll only be able to get what we can get. Main Blizzard event that they've all, people have been talking about. We talked about it briefly there during the Plunderstorm conversation, but there's the Plunderstorm creator event. That's this weekend on the 30th of March. Invitation only. Very interesting list of people that they invited into this. What's your take on that, Jake?
Now that has obviously, of course, caused drama. I would like to say one word in response to that: marketing. It's just marketing. at the end of the day, if you're sitting there going like, why wasn't CDU invited? Well, because they probably looked at all of the collective amount of people that they could get who have the biggest input within their communities. And that's what was going to happen. You know, you could literally, I mean, that's why Max is involved in there. You know, like I mean, not that they shouldn't be, because it's not strictly a PvP thing, but
No.
it is a viewership thing for big Warcraft creators. They're not going to invite, you know, 7-viewer sort of EU priest that sits in their bedroom grinding arena until 5 a.m. in the morning with 12 to 15 rank 1 titles.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah, of course. Well, I was trying not to attack you, but I felt like I could do it from like a different angle. But anyway, they're not gonna invite you, Gerissar. So that's just the be all end all of it.
No, you're right.
But yeah, that's not what's going to happen. They're going to invite people that have the attention on them, and that's just how it needs to be. It has to be that way. Because it's the only way to actually get enough attention to this game. All their viewers, even viewers that, you know, even people that don't actually really properly play the game anymore, will go like, "Wow, this is great! I love this idea. I want to go play Plunderstorm like my best streamer friend Zico, or my best streamer friend Zayu. I want to do that." And that's fine. Yeah. That's what it needs to be. So no point being upset about it. Sidu just didn't get chosen because of whatever reasons.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. There's a question as to what that reason is, but who knows? Quick question: who do you think is going to win?
I think I put it out there the other day, but it's obviously going to be Gerissar and Snuts.
That's exactly what I thought.
Absolutely, 100%. They are the most insanely try-hard competitors, and
dude, that is the most stacked team if I ever saw one.
Of course, it is. Yeah, they're incredible. You know, in terms of reaction skills, you know, like I'm just having a little look through the list of people here.
Yeah,
and I mean, the only other ones that I think that might be kind of close might be the Zico Venruki combination.
they're
like
also,
potentially,
yep.
Or Max and Trill, just because Trill will just destroy everyone.
Possibly.
That's the only other thing I think.
I'm not discounting Fandy.
Okay,
I think she has potential.
Yeah, true. I think this is the interesting one as well, because obviously you got Zeppler and Asmongold in there.
Yeah.
You've also got to be honest with you, what's really interesting as well is that you've got I'm trying to think, where is it? There's another person that I literally just saw, Elohim. I'm fairly sure Elohim doesn't even play WoW anymore.
Yeah.
There's
our friend Stoops, he quit a long time ago.
Yeah, Stoops quit in Shadowlands. Stoops hasn't played WoW in ages. This is what I'm saying. Like Stoops is invited. Stoops hasn't touched WoW in such a long time, but Stoops is invited because he gets 4,000 people watch him play Lost Ark or something like that. So
exactly, and you're right. I think it's marketing, definitely marketing. I actually expect that Asmon is probably going to last a little bit, and then it's probably going to die probably top 20-ish, maybe. Oh, sorry, there's 20 players, so I'm going to give him like top 15 to 20, and then he's probably going to die and complain how it was bad RNG.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean,
We'll see.
You're right, absolutely correct. I also think there is an interesting point of Marcellian online playing with himself. Or themselves. I think there's two of them, actually. Maybe that's why. There's also, and actually I think this is a really underrated one, Nixium and Krendor.
Yes.
I think that is highly underrated.
It's going to be a dark horse, for sure.
I think by dark horse, I mean, I think they've worked together on YouTube at some point. WoW Krendor and Nixium have worked together, and I like this combination between them. I also like the combination of Nagura and Corella Deville. I was also about to say Corella DK. You know, I like that.
Yeah, me too. They're a good team. So there's some great teams here. We'll see what. I mean, we could be wrong. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Right, my vote is PS0 and Snuds, 100%.
All right. Well, if anybody's interested, over on World of Warcraft, we'll have the link in the show notes. Over there, they have a list of all the team, who the teams are, who the teammates, and everything, and all the links to their streams, so you can go watch them play. Another person who we haven't seen a lot of for a while is Overlord Moon, or just Moon. He, friend of the show. He was playing for a bit, and as a healer. He actually joined me and Mortai for one of the AWCs to try and get the banner and try to push a little bit, but yeah. I was on the team, so we didn't get very far. Anyways, that said, he has decided that he wanted to throw his hat into trying to do some tournament stuff. So he's hosting a 3v3 tournament on the 5th and the 6th of April. It's going to be, I think it's NA live servers only, but it's going to be a 3v3 with class and bands. So class and specs bands. So he's going to be doing that. So if anybody's interested, links in the show notes. He has a sign up for the forum, team captain and 2 players, and sign up and have fun. I think no actual reward other than the prestige and bragging rights that you won. Raider.io is doing their Break the Meta once again. So this is Mythic Plus. Not streamed per se, but unless anybody playing is streaming, but it's just get yourself some teammates, sign up on get your team signed up. They just track all your wins through the API, and and you're not allowed to use meta specs. So think about the spec that never gets played or is never invited to a team, and that's the ones that you'll be seeing. So it's kind of cool watching the underdogs struggle their way through on that. So NA starts on the 2nd of April, EU starts on the 3rd, Korea, Taiwan starts on the 4th, and that goes for 2 weeks for each region. And then they'll say who won. Last but not least, this was kind of out of the blue. I was a little surprised. So Keystone Masters, I haven't heard anything from them for ages. If you've been tracking them at all, but Sierra, who created Keystone Master way back in the day, we actually had him on the show once, and great guy. And then he actually got himself into doing broadcasting. He's actually been helping out on the backside of doing a bunch of the WoW broadcasts, the WoW esports broadcasts. And he decided to rebrand Keystone Master into Keystone Productions, and now he's going to host a Battle of the Bands. It's a Battle of the Bands. A little tongue-in-cheek twist of words there. So it's going to be a 3v3 tournament on the 13th and the 14th of April. This one's going to be streamed, so go ahead and watch it. And it's going to be for some good cash, and it's going to include a same thing as what Moon's doing. It's going to include a class and spec ban where you choose who you're not playing against. So $6,000 prize pool. Go for it. Have fun, folks. Yeah, sign up for that if you can. I'm pretty sure there's no criteria other than just have a heartbeat and be wanting to play.
I feel like that's a lot of people's dating lives as well.
Post-COVID arena. Gotta love it. All right. Yeah. I think that's about it that we're aware of. If you know of anything else going on, please tweet it to us, email it to us, come over to our Discord, link it to us. Let us know. We want to help boost the community, boost the events, and get as many eyes as we can on WoW esports. While we're doing that, though, let's get into the subject analysis.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
All right. Into the meat and potatoes of the show. So the title of the show I called A Minor Concern. And I found this interesting. I think we were talking off show a little bit about this, and there's been some background conversations throughout the community that I've been part of. On the forefront, though, was a minor, a young player named Meep Monk. He's 16 years old, plays World of Warcraft, and got onto Twitter to express his he almost sounded like he was complaining, but almost accepting, like he knew that he did something wrong, that he was poop posting at people, saying that they suck and stuff like that in Plunderstorm. after he killed them, and then he ended up getting a 14-day ban. So he went to Twitter and complained a little bit, and it was interesting. The number of people, so the number of people who were like, yeah, whatever, get over yourself, kid. Some people were like, as acting as if he was an adult. I don't think they even looked at his profile that saw that he was a kid. But then it came later that some people were like, yo, this is a minor, stop interacting with them, because for reasons, some people thought that you shouldn't, as adults, interact with minors. And then that took a whole other life on its own. So I think really the conversation, and this is where I saw the conversation go, and it made me start to reflect and think about my children, how I parented them, and my feelings towards how adults interact with minors because they don't. It's more so how people interact with each other in video games under the assumption of what they, the general idea or the general assumption of what that player's age is, and then subsequently the interactions that they provide once they know the age of the person, which is also another conversation, I think, on its own. I think first and foremost, Jake, you've been playing World of Warcraft. I'd say you started playing World of Warcraft way younger than I was. I'll say it that way.
Yeah,
I was 20 something when it came out, so it was How old were you when you were playing World of Warcraft when you first started playing?
when I first started playing, I think I was 12, 13.
Okay.
So it came out 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, 2004, I turned 8 in the year 2000. So in 2004, 2004, I would have been 12. Yeah, I was 12 going on 13 basically, and it was an interesting one because I definitely was worried, like as a younger kid, about being online, because obviously I didn't know. I knew that the internet could be a dangerous place, and obviously your parents tell you that it could be a dangerous place, and you got to be careful. And there are definitely like some interactions that you felt like when you're talking to someone that's quite significantly older than you, sort of like someone that's like, there were people there that you were sort of 10, 15 years older than me that I was interacting with, and as a 13-year-old, you can be varying degrees of naivety and innocence, and you can mistake someone's kindness sometimes as they are behind the screen as something a bit more. But thankfully that I never had that, which was really good. But you do have to be wary, and so I was quite wary, and I used to kind of like not give people details, but it was easy to do that back then. Very easy to do that back then.
It's all text. You weren't in voice chat.
Exactly. All text. Sometimes you join like a team speak or something, but I never joined anything like that until I was, sort of 16, 17. And also I was also at boarding school too, so I didn't play as much as I do now. So I was able to, join in here and there and just mostly be in the text. Mostly, I think the crazy thing is that majority of people didn't know that I was like 13 at the time. I always had quite a mature way of typing, which is such a weird thing to think about. And a mature way of typing, people used to think I was much older. It was quite like a computer literate, as it were. So I was able to kind of chat to people who would think I was older than I was. And eventually when people, got to know me a bit more, I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? I'm 15, I'm 16. And, there were other 15 and 16-year-olds, obviously at the time. The majority of people would be of a similar age, but a lot of people were older. One of my best friends, it still is one of my best friends. I've known her since I was sort of 15, really, is 5 years older than me. So at the time would have been sort of, going 20. And, those kind of memes are sort of like you're like a 60-year-old kid kind of working out someone's 20-year-old's like, life problems. And it's kind of like, it's so true because that basically happened to me.
Yeah. And that's interesting. So it sounds like that, there's an assumption there from the person on the other side of the screen, assuming, weirdly enough, that just because they're an adult, that you're an adult too.
Yeah, you mirror, of course. Like it's in the same way that when you're sort of like a teenager, you're sort of playing a game, you expect the other person to be a teenager. And when they're like, actually, you know what, I'm 26, you're like, whoa, hold on. You're like 11 years older than me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're sort of kind of questioning, okay, well, you normally act totally fine, but if they start to get a bit weird with you, then it's sort of, you start to kind of question, well, hold on, am I just a teenager? Why are you being weird? But
Yeah.
that's most of the time I've never had that experience, to be fair. So
Okay. So I'll admit, I do similar. I assume the majority of the people I'm playing, if I'm playing with somebody and chatting with them, just a random person, in, let's say, like, battleground chat or something like that, I kind of assume that they're an adult. Same thing. Not necessarily my age, but an adult. Until I see, unless there's something that they're typing that flags me to think that they're otherwise, right?
yeah.
Now, I'd say if I'm in like a direct chat with somebody, or let's say we're in like, arena team or something like that, where, a very small party and we're chatting and I get the sniff, or I find out that they're underage, my tone will change. I'm not going to lie. I'll dad, right? I'll parent a bit. But I think the difference, I'm respectful. I want to say I'm respectful. I want to say that I'm fairly cool temperatured when I chat, text, or when I'm talking to people in chat. I don't go off on wild theories, or really, open up my life or anything. Unless I did that once before, like way back in the day when I was having some marital problems, and I was talking to a guildmate who was on some other place in North America, and basically a stranger to me, but still somewhat of a person, but also an adult, and I knew that there was a camaraderie there before I opened up to them. I can't say I would open up to just anybody in guild chat, just because like
Of course, yeah.
that seems a little weird. So I think I guess I'll ask you, and I think you kind of answered it, but just very directly, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about a person, let's say, a 20 year age gap, so let's say like a 35-year-old talking to a 15-year-old, knowing that they're 15, and talking to them like they're some buddy or some friend?
See, what I will say is that, having played this game a long time and having been on the other end of that relationship, that kind of friendship, I think there is, in truth, nothing wrong with having a friendship with another person. You play this game, and everyone is an adult. They've well, not everyone is an adult, but everyone everyone is there is an age bracket for this game. Like when you play this game, that there is was it 15 plus? I can't even remember I don't even know what WoW is anymore. Is it 12 plus? I can't remember. I haven't looked at age rating in a long time since I got 18.
I think teen is I think it's teen rated, so I think it's 13 plus in North
13
America.
plus, yeah, exactly. So you would have a 13. There is a possibility of 13-year-olds being in the game, right? You understand that, and understanding that if someone is a minor, there's certain things that you wouldn't talk to them. Like I wouldn't talk to a 15-year-old kid, about certain aspects of my life that's not really appropriate to talk to a teenage person about, right? But there's nothing wrong with having a friendship in the same way that I've got a friendship with my niece and my nephew. Like I still chat to them and I still talk to them, but I don't, ring them up to talk to them about my, my woes of my life. Sort of like that's not exactly what we do. It's a different kind of relationship that you might have with someone in that regard. So as long as it's a friendship and you're chatting to them if they're in the same guild as you, absolutely no problem with that.
Okay.
An example of this is in my Star Wars guild when I was playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. Before COVID, long time before COVID, actually, I was in there for 3 years. I've seen guys go from about sort of 16-year-olds to, up to 19, 20 plus. Obviously, they're much bit older now, but, as there was a respectful kind of boundary of friendship between people. So it was that was understood. And it was just a perfectly normal thing. As long as you treat someone like an adult and they treat you back like an adult, then it fine. It works out.
Yeah.
That is a friendship.
True.
That works fine there. But again, as I said to you, like I would never go out of my way to sort of call them up when I've had a bad day to talk about some, stuff like that. And I never had that with my best friend either. We're not, she wouldn't message me and call me up when she was having the worst day possible, to talk about that stuff. Yeah, that friendship evolved as I got older. From knowing someone for 5+ years on a kind of more of an internet frame, when you eventually meet them in person and talk to them in aspects outside of WoW, then that friendship grows, and that's just how that thing naturally evolves. At least that's my experience. Obviously, having grown up in WoW and having met close friends who I continue to talk to this day through WoW, and that's the experience that I've had. But it's a very different time period. I feel in comparison today. The difference between 2016 to now. Yeah,
Yes.
I personally think that's when everything kind of changed in terms of how we view things on the internet. Everything's changed since then. Like even from then to now, there's a different kind of view. People are very quick to pull the trigger on utilizing certain words and phrases, and I think that's
not wrong.
And I think it kind of it becomes rude and also kind of belittles the person as well. Sort of like there's nothing wrong with queuing it up with a 16-year-old, playing some arena with them if they're there and they're great, especially if they're sort of someone like Calvish and Meep, who are incredibly talented at the game. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. So getting involved and doing that stuff. But anyway, yeah.
So I want to unpack a couple things here. So it's interesting. I think in a way you're doing it very level-headed. You are putting in some boundaries. You're being mature in how you're going to interact. If you say you're going to interact with somebody that's underage, and obviously you're doing it in a very respectful way. You're not. There's no intent. There's no malicious intent there to do something that would be considered illegal or something that you shouldn't do. The things
which is crazy to have to say. Crazy to have to say, right? Because that's obviously the intent is never going to be there, and if anyone has that intention to do so, obviously that's a whole other matter. But it feels kind of crazy to have to specify. I'm just having a normal interaction with this person that never crossed my mind. That's not a thing. I'm just interacting with this normal person, playing the aspect of the game that we both enjoy.
Yeah. It'd be no different than you having played chess a whole bunch and being very interested in chess, and a younger person being in a chess club and you having a intellectual conversation with them about chess.
Yeah. Or even playing against them in chess.
Yeah, exactly. Playing a game, and having a chat about that. And, it's an intellectual game. It's not like your size or your age is going to make any difference. So be it. I think one thing is a lot of people seem to equate age to maturity. I think anybody can realize the fallacy of that that idealism, in that there's 30 somethings that have the mentality and the maturity of maybe a 12-year-old. I may be one of those sometimes.
Yeah, I was about to say my humor is
yeah. My dad jokes are sometimes potty humor. No different than, there's some 15-year-olds out there that are mature beyond their years, a person would say, that would be able to have a conversation at a level that would kind of make you raise an eyebrow and go, how old are you again? Right? Because so be it. I think, sure. That said, yes, I think there's some topics there that you should never, as a 30-something, ever talk to a 15-something about, right? No different than I wouldn't expect a 15-year-old to, ask some very private questions or raise some very private topics with an adult, right? Unless they're, like it'd be something for your parent, right? You wouldn't talk to a stranger or something you should be talking to a parent about. So I think if that's the case, then sure, that seems like a valid reason. I think I recognize, I understand the reason why some people would put a boundary there, why some people would be like, nope, I'm not going to talk to a minor, only because all it would take is a misunderstanding, a misinterpretation of words, a whatever. Even if a double entendre is spoken as a joke, it can be taken the wrong way. And in today's cancel culture, I would be very cautious of that. If that meant, if I was afraid about losing my job, or afraid of like some weird lawsuit coming out, like that'd be really weird, and very, I can see somebody, if they're cautious of that, or anxious of that, that would be a boundary they put up. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
I think the thing here though is we also set up our boundaries based on our own life experiences and how we do things and how we've seen stuff already in our life. Your experiences, although you've had some interesting conversations, it sounds like, and some interactions with adults as you grew up in World of Warcraft. I think the difference there is also you're a boy. You're now a man, right?
Yeah. Well, some might say I'm a boy.
I would dare say that interactions with Calvish, interactions with Meat Monk, interactions with you, would have been different if you were a girl.
Yes, of course. And obviously that power dynamic is also incredibly important. And I do have a lot of experience with that firsthand, massively so.
Really?
Because absolutely, I do. I have firsthand with it. Because when I was growing up, we had lots of girls my age in my friends group, and even when I was a little bit older, my ex, one of my ex girlfriends, when I was 19, was had just turned 18 when we first got together. Sort of a year and a half ish gap between us. I'd just gone from 18 to 19, and she was just gone from 17 to 18. And, I watched that experience previously and the experience after of how people interact with them in that regard. Now, she was obviously, very mature in her aspects and how she handles that sort of thing. But it's right. But that in itself is just an example of the kind of inequality of how women are treated online anyway. And when you add in the fact that there are extra circumstances around being a girl and being a minor at the same time, I'm sure that there are some horror stories out there, which horrifies me, as someone that would love a daughter one day, horrifies me. So, and that sort of thing, which is why, as I say, I never had that experience myself. I was always in and provided always a lovely community for people, for anyone, and if they happen to be underage, and I don't tend to ask that question, I would never sort of kind of go in and say it. I've never done anything that's adult themed or anything like that, so I've never needed to kind of go, okay, let's check that. Sort of like whether it's RBGs, BGs, whatever. If I'd never need to ask those questions. So, which I think I'm very lucky that everything has been lovely and nice and friendly. But there are some horrible things out there. But I think what you touched upon, which is the most important thing about that, is the maturity of the individual. Sure. Obviously, if you can tell someone is immature and they're not prepared for that, then you know what, you just that's them to grow up. They need to grow up and do their thing, whether it's outside of the game or not. That's not an interaction. I would do that in the same regards if it was like a 20-plus-year-old person, even a 30-year-old person that wasn't mature enough to have that friendship. I mean, think about this. Whenever you get abused in solo shuffle, that person does not have the maturity to be friends with you. So you instantly go, no, thank you. You're getting reported, you're getting blocked, etc. You can kind of do the same thing in all manners. If someone is not, of that maturity to have a friendship in a sort of adult capacity, which is the way you kind of got to be, sort of when you're growing up, your parents always say to you, sort of like, one of the things about being an adult is sort of having the maturity to have like a normal friendship that isn't running around talking about farts and, and picking your nose, and sort of like doing all those sort of jokes. And you're kind of like, haha, that's really funny, but fart jokes are great. And they are. they're great. But at some point, in order to have like a normal adult friendship, you do have to kind of understand that fact, and obviously that's part of growing up. So just being able to understand that and putting those boundaries in place and understanding where, what you need to do, I think that's totally fine.
I think the problem there though is expecting a teenager who is growing, learning those aspects of life, don't even know what boundaries are, or
True.
not knowing what their sociological growing, their culture that they're in. I mean, we're playing a video game that's fairly worldwide, right?
It's quite literally the world of war.
Yeah, it is. And even though there's some regional stuff there, I mean, there's still very economical and sociological variances depending on who you're playing with, or who you're playing against. I mean, for all I know, when I log in, I might group up in, let's say I load into LFG to do the weekly 5 time walking dungeons. The other 4 people, I don't know who they are. Like, it might be a girl, it might be a guy, it might be somebody that's trans, it might be a rich person. I mean, I could be playing with a multimillionaire and a kid who is playing on the loaner computer from school because they, while their stomach is hungry because they can barely eat, right? Like, who knows? But expecting, rolling back again, I think the hard part there is if you have an adult who doesn't have the maturity or has some malicious intent, talking to an underage person that maybe doesn't know how to set boundaries and doesn't know how to interact with this that's a dangerous concept. And then if you have somebody who has some sort of notoriety in the game, because if somebody's really good at the game, they're on a ladder, they're known, they get notoriety, people start to look up to them. And if that person has some their moral compass is a little bit malaligned, a teenager may not realize that until it's too late, right? So it's interesting. I remember it was in the news we reported on this. I want to say it was a couple of years back. There was like a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old girl that went across state lines and ended up being the parents reported them missing, and they were able to track the person down, but she was found in a hotel room with like a 30-something in another state in the U.S. I want to say it was like from Florida to some like 1 or 2 states over, and they found her and she was safe, like not apparently, but that man had found her. They were playing RPGs together, and then he decided to take it, go personal. Like, how does a 15-year-old know when to put up that boundary and how to when to walk away from that?
Well,
and that's assuming that she knew that he was 35. She might not have known until she showed up to the place.
True.
Right?
True. Yeah. I think for me, it's I can only go off my own experience and what I know I did. Maybe I was a sensible teenager. Maybe I'd had the right instruction. I think I definitely put up the boundaries myself because I was afraid. I was scared. I was definitely scared that there would be something. Obviously, I'm a boy, so there's that aspect. I think there, as we talked about before, there is definitely that power dynamic for women anyway, even adult women within the gaming sphere. So, as a boy and a younger boy, maybe there is a certain aspect of there that maybe is might potentially preferred. You don't know, but either way, I was scared, so I put up those boundaries myself. I think a lot of teenagers do that to a degree, but again, I don't have any kids, so I do not have the first-hand experience of learning from that. All I know is my own experience.
So I taught my kids. I put the fear of God into them.
Good.
About when I was letting my teenage, actually at the time she was underage. She wasn't even a teen. I think she was like 8 years old. She wanted to play World of Warcraft because I was playing it, right? So off you go. I hooked her up with. We made a panda. She's running around Pandaria. First couple levels, whatever, just running around having fun. I felt it was safe because it was in a trapped little area, but I even told her, I said, don't you dare interact with somebody on chat. And I closed it down. Like I figured out a way to close all the windows and that so she couldn't see chat. So she couldn't see trade chat. She couldn't see what was happening in the Barrens. She couldn't see any of that. And if, you know, and even today, like she's now technically an adult, but between her and my son, when we talk to them, and, you know, they've been playing online, and, you know, especially my son, he has a habit of hopping into voice chat with Discords, and, you know, afterwards I'll be like, hey, who are you talking to? And he'll be like, oh, so and so. I'm like, okay, and I get details, and, you know, and as soon as I find out that they're an adult, I will literally start digging deeper to make sure that interaction, what pieces I didn't hear or wasn't there to hear, was safe, because I want to make sure that he's either, you know, he's not being exploited, or worse yet, he's not he's not talking to somebody with a poor moral compass and learning bad lessons from that person, right? Because
Yeah.
growing up on the internet is not a safe thing, and you know, pop culture has a lot of influence. Internet culture has even more, and I'm really really nervous about that. I guess so. Is is the answer really for adults to stop interacting, or is it, because I'm actually thinking about this. If let's say you have a good moral compass, and you find out you're interacting with a minor, and you like automatically block and escape from them, which was something that was being you know, suggested by people, again going back to the whole thing with Meat Monk. I actually think that's a bad answer. I think that's a poor response. I think as soon as you do that, then now you've extricated yourself. You can no longer be a bystander to help support the minor if somebody else comes along and with malintent, right?
Yeah. I think it's at the end of the day, it's the comments about it is grandstanding, it's virtue signaling, it's a way of kind of going, why are you interacting with these people when they're underage? And it's projecting a sort of a sort of sense of like, I had a bad time, therefore no one else can have a good time. I think that's the kind of consensus that I get the feeling of, is that when people say these sort of things, it's sort of like, my experience was bad, therefore no one else can have a good experience. Like, that doesn't exist. All experiences are bad, and therefore this action is bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it's very easy. It's common sense. If you're interacting with a minor online in a game setting, you know, be responsible by having that friendship with them based off of the game, not based out of, you don't start telling them your life story, your issues at home, that kind of thing. That is for other friends of a similar age, or give or take, or who is also an adult that to talk to, that you're closer with. This as I said, 15, 16-year-old doesn't need to know all those details, and that's a common sense thing. That's just a normal thing. But obviously for someone that you play with a lot, if you're playing with them in an arena setting a lot, it's just use common sense. You're playing with them for the game. That's it. It's the be all end all of it all.
If only common sense was that common.
It's not, unfortunately, especially in these days. But I think in terms of the game that we play, and the fact that actually majority of the guys that still play in the game, guys, by guys I mean guys and girls, and everyone else and in between, we've all been playing this game for a very long time. Most of us were 12, 11, 8, whatever, 13 years old when we first started playing, and continue to play through. We are now majority older. The game is mostly 25 plus. Okay. And also, on top of that, when you get someone that is a minor, sort of like people like Calvish, people like Meep, who are young, it still blows my mind that people that young would choose to play this game, and not just this game, but the PvP aspect of that game. You've got to be able to sit back and go, when I was younger, this is what I wanted. Therefore, let me just use my common sense and be like, I'm going to interact with these people. No problem. They're still my friends, whatever. But our friendship is a different kind of friendship. It is a friendship based off the game and nothing to do with anything else. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah. I would hope that hopefully enough people hearing this are all bobbing their head and going, "Yep, we do that." And if you're not, maybe think about your interactions.
Yes, I think definitely if you're interacting with a minor, I think to kind of summarize our thoughts on this one, it's perfectly fine to interact with someone, you know, who is a teenager on this game, you know, interacting with no problem at all, because you have to, because realistically speaking, you can't just sort of like message every single person you do a dungeon with, message every single person you find on FG and go, oh, that's fine, wait, hold on, what XP do you got? You got 2.1 XP, perfect, great. How old are you? That's weird. Like, that's a
Yeah.
weird thing to do. Like, you can't do that sort of thing. You just have to understand that if a friendship grows with someone that you've met online and they turn out to be a lot younger than you thought they were, use common sense, be rational, be normal, understand that you are going to be especially if that friendship continues, you're going to be a moral figure, as we talked about, someone that is able to kind of show them right from wrong online, and that's a responsibility. And I think, if you feel like that's a responsibility that you're not really interested in, then don't continue that friendship. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
As I said, if someone's horrible to you, you don't tend to or if you have someone that hasn't got that maturity and they're an adult, you don't tend to be friends with them. You just stop it. Same sort of thing applies.
And I'll say, if your boundary is like, you don't want to talk to somebody that's younger than 18 because whatever reason, then that's, okay, that's a fair boundary.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nothing wrong with that. I can't say that that doesn't mean everybody should stop, I guess.
No.
I guess my concern is that anybody, if you see a young person, let's see, in the middle of the street, and you're just like walking by and they start talking to you, if you just walk away and ignore them, I feel like that's setting them up for a very I guess statistical interaction later on down the road, because then when somebody does pay attention to them, they're going to possibly end up enamored with that person, and then that can cause a really unhealthy situation that will end up as some statistic somewhere. So
Indeed.
I think that's also something maybe that should be considered.
Absolutely.
And then also, if you're there and somebody else who with malintent shows up, at least you're there to help protect the person, assuming you have healthy intentions.
Of course.
I'm curious about something. Most of the time we hear about things that are, of course, some older gentleman grooming and trying to entice a younger woman, a growing woman, and not very often do we hear, or I don't think we've ever heard, at least in the WoW sphere, of the opposite of a older woman trying to groom a young man. Do you think that even happens?
Definitely,
Yeah?
it definitely happens. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think actually it would happen more so online than it would do. I think I've you know what, actually, I will happily go out and state that I'm fairly sure that might have happened to me at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I think
you had a Mrs. Robinson?
maybe not as cool as that, but I think it was, and it wasn't. I wouldn't say nothing really bad ever happened, but I think there definitely was an older woman that was very interested in me. And when I when I sort of kind of went, yeah, no, I'm not interested in you that way, her reactions were very bad. Like,
Really?
yeah, really bad. Like, it was very much like everything was set up for, like I was doing this with her, and our character was doing this, and then we were doing this activity, and then eventually when she kind of like made her feelings known more so, I must have been sort of like 17 ish.
Okay.
At that stage, obviously a little bit older. I'm encroaching sort of 18. This is someone that was 7-8 years older than me, and yeah, she was upset about it. Like, but there was an attempt there to kind of get me on side, and that was not something that I was interested in. I think the kind of negativity there is the reaction to when I said no.
Yeah.
And I imagine that it does. So that's my experience of that, and I don't think that's a very serious or very bad thing that ever happened. I think, well, I'd say it's bad, but I don't think it was ever serious. So that was fine. I'm okay. but I think worse has happened out there, and I think worse happens even more so to
Mm-hmm.
younger girls because of the predatory nature of, I guess, some of the kind of more reclusive men
Mm-hmm.
on the game that think they've hit the jackpot, and then when rejected find that very difficult. So,
Fair.
but
Yeah.
as I said, it's not. I don't think it's isolated. I think there are definitely both sides to it.
Yep.
But lots of things happen on the internet.
True. True. I just know how often I haven't had in the past few years. I'm in a really healthy guild right now, but I do remember some of the earlier years when we had Ventrilo or TeamSpeak, and there was a certain gentleman that when as soon as one of the girls or one of the women in the guild joined the guild into voice chat, his tone would immediately change. He would basically start hitting on them in the wild,
Yeah.
and it's like it got a little creepy sometimes. A little, yeah.
And
That was,
it does happen.
yeah.
Like
Yep.
there is a creepiness, and I remember when we used to use Mumble servers,
Yeah.
and we come in and do that. The massive sort of community aspect to the game where, so most nights we'd kind of do like some sort of karaoke thing, or we'd do like,
Cool.
we'd play stuff together, we'd do sort of things together, and that was really interesting and fun. But you kind of build this dynamic going on,
Mm-hmm.
and that could lead to that sort of thing. But it just depends on the safe environment that you do. But you do notice when like a girl or a woman would join the voice chat, the certain men would kind of change their tone and change how
Right.
they move and how they say things. It happens even nowadays still. I've been in enough RBGs, and where I think you see this more often, where someone joins and immediately the guy's like, "Oh, there's a girl." Someone's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, there's a girl,"
Yeah,
and then
that's
she
usually
shuts up.
that's a red flag to me.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course, absolutely. And you're just sitting there going, like, "Come on, guys!"
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was leading them in Shadowlands in season 1, like you'd have someone join. It's just sort of, and so someone would say it, and you just be like, "Just shut up!
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. Let
Yeah.
this person exist. Like, they're not anything more special than you and me. They're just a different sex, and that's fine. Just just have a great time and play it." And that's kind of how it
Yeah.
needs to be. So,
Yeah.
and that's the important part about how you kind of handle that sort of situation. But going back to your point, I think definitely happens both sides, and I think you see it a lot prevalent in various different communities. But I think we're a lot better nowadays. I will say, I think nowadays we are a
I
lot
hope so.
better. Just I think the small cases that do exist tend to be quite extreme still, because they were the extreme parts that happened
Mm-hmm.
from before, but still continue.
Well, yeah. Um, I think the most unfortunate part is that it continues.
Indeed.
Um,
Yeah.
I definitely expect that just because we do interact based on our own life experiences and how we see the world, I think the different generations that are in World of Warcraft are definitely interacting at different ways because there's like people my age that kind of just started, the internet was just kind of hitting when we were hitting adult or like being teenagers and that. So we didn't really grow up all the way in the internet versus it's a gen, so that's Gen X. I think Gen Y is the later generation, which grew up all in the internet. And then there's I'm not even sure what the generations are now, but the ones that are like ever since Web 2.0 and then beyond, and this whole like between Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media, and just like everything's chit chatting and texting online and stuff like that. And really nothing sacred. Like I mean, like anything can be found out about at any second. I feel like that generation, it was definitely going to interact in a different way. So it's going to be, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I almost feel like, and I'm not sure if it's even feasible, but I'd like to almost see if there's like some way to get some better parental controls. And I haven't really looked at what the parental controls are for Blizzard, but I feel like it's only like game time and when a person can log in and play. But I wouldn't mind, seeing if there's a way like, getting chat logs or something like that, and be able to, see if there's anything there that somebody was interacting with your kid that you don't know about, like a DM or a whisper or something like that. It's like, to raise red flags, because I feel like that would be helpful, more so than just restricting a kid's game time.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think being able to have a parent sort of filter where, you might not be able to filter through all of the chat logs, like, like
Mhm.
the main say chat or the general chat or something like that. But you could choose to have, the session of which they're playing get sent to you
Mhm.
via email or some sorts, and it just basically records, whispers, Battle.net whispers, party, or say chat, something along those lines. So you can just kind of have a
Yeah.
little look at each one just to kind of see if anything comes up. Or I suppose what would probably be more useful is if there was a certain buzzwords that could be selected to kind of
Yeah.
save the amount of time that you'd have a look through, so that you could just scan through and just be like, okay, yeah, this is normal interaction. Or if there were certain words that you could ban that they popped up, and you'd be
Goldshire.
able to then, yeah, Goldshire, Demon Hunter. You're like, what? No, ban that person. And and that sort of thing would come through, and then you can interact with that, and you can report them if you need to be, and then Blizzard can kind of do more of a sort of in-depth look, and that would really
Yeah.
help with child safety, because at the end of the day, right, Blizzard want more people to be interested in their games, right? They should make it friendly, because as we talked about in terms of generations, I don't know what generation you would consider yourself part of, but for me, I am a millennial,
Yeah.
smack bang in the middle of being a millennial, I think, or perhaps near the later end of being a millennial, depending on who you ask. And and for me, like, my generation's having kids now. A lot of my friends have kids that are sort of maybe 5 or 6 or 7, kind of getting up there,
Mhm.
in terms of age, where they might actually, if they had a parent that was a gamer, get involved in WoW or get involved in Plunderstorm or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And, it would be nice to be able to kind of go, you know what, I'm going to let them do it. Like, because, they're off my hands for a little while and they'll play. But then you also kind of want to make sure that they're safe online. So I think that would be fantastic, just to kind of different words that kind of buzzwords that pop up, and then use those.
All right.
I think that'd be
I like
cool.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, just kind of thinking some things.
All right. What kind of things are you thinking about? This is a safe space, Gareth, so you can tell us. It's allowed. I think we have the
uh,
maturity to talk about it.
no, honestly, I was trying to think about the one thing I would change.
Oh, really? Is it that time so soon?
Well, because I was thinking about it, just like, fuck, oh, pardon me, shit.
What was that? What did you say? I cannot believe it. Have
Dang
we
it.
got Jamili back on this podcast?
Dang it.
Oh, dang nabbit.
Dang.
Flippity gibbet.
Yeah.
That's it.
What the fork?
With a fork?
What the fork?
With
And
a
I was just
muffin
thinking
fork?
after I said that, I was like, oh dang, that would have been the one thing I'd change. Shoot. Now I can't think of what I would change. So now I have to think
Oh,
about something else. So that's what I was
okay.
thinking. Uh,
Whilst you're doing that, should we actually, like, just very quickly talk about Meat Monk
sure,
and the interaction? So just so
sure.
everyone understands that he was chat banned for,
Well, no, he was. I thought he was like
no, he
gang
was
banned.
fully banned. Fully
Yeah,
banned. Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
apologies.
He had a
He was
14
fully
day ban.
banned. Yeah, for saying basically get porn, you suck. Like, I mean, it's the normal sort of thing that you'd say when frustrated and everything like that. Pretty normal. Most people say it. Doesn't matter about age. Some people. Well, okay, not most people, but some people might say that.
Yeah. Well, I think just to feel high on yourself, right?
Mm,
It's put that cherry on the I just beat you, yo yo yo,
yeah,
and to feel good about yourself.
exactly. And I think, and obviously in this instance, sort of, talking about chat and speaking and interacting with people, it's clearly blown up and gone further in the fact that actually Meep is so young,
Mhm.
and saying that sort of thing. And then
Yeah.
also the interactions you would have when, having a sort of like, a toxic chat back to someone. And obviously, if people in arena say some horrible things to Meep, being so young, is that a thing that's normal? Is that considerable? I mean, most people wouldn't know that he's young, but if you did know he's young and you said that sort of
Mhm.
thing, and you're having a bit of banter here and back and forth, don't think there's anything wrong with that personally, unless it's sort of with ill intent. But if
Yeah.
you can't, if someone is kind of if he says to me, "You suck," and then you clap back with saying like, sort of like, "Well, actually, you're the worst," kind of
Mhm.
thing. Nothing wrong with that. That is just friendly banter, within the game. I
Yeah.
think that's the important thing.
I think,
It's
I think the
about
most appropriate response back to that is, "That's not what your mom said last night."
exactly, and I feel like that can be that can be used for sure. I'm actually, you know what, I'm gonna 100% when I have kids, that is what I'm gonna 100% say to them if they ever say anything, because that is like, that's my, that is
Oh,
your mum jokes are the best.
that's so wrong though. Saying it to your kids about their mom, like
Yeah, you got
your
to do
wife.
it. That's not what your mum said last night. But, like, it's true though. I mean, that isn't what she said last night. In fact, she was having a go at me about bills, but
And then she
but
said, "You
still.
suck."
And then she said you suck. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sort of like, why have we paid these bills? But also, you suck at gaming. That was
Yeah,
basically the
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Although I will just assure you that my missus doesn't sound like Donald or Daffy Duck or whatever it is that I just did.
Yeah, she sounds like Minnie Mouse. Um,
Yeah.
I think you're right though. I think I think the other side to it is the social contract, right? Like, we all signed the social contract saying we're not going to be mean and derogatory and say bad things on in the game, and then because of that, enough reports on this person saying the same thing, AI said, okay, boom, 14 days, because that's mean and you hurt people's feelings.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is, though, is that, there are people that say way worse stuff that never get banned. So,
Well, it's because it takes a person to have to click the button and report it, right?
I suppose, but there's also people that have been reported and nothing's happened to them.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
I don't
Well,
even know. I don't even know if those
as far
reports
as
are
I'm
going
aware.
in though. Yeah.
I mean, most of the people I report are from Solo Shuffle, and I never see them again. So who knows?
True.
But yeah.
Don't ever forget about ignore peoples. Don't forget to ignore people. Unfortunately, ignore is only to the tune, not to the BNet account. So all they have to do is get on their alt and you face them again. But ignore is healthy. Is healthy and helps.
Yes.
All right, I think we've covered this one enough, though. I want to hear one thing you would change, though, Jake. What's one thing you would change about just World of Warcraft in general? Let's say.
Okay, I was about to say, what's the one thing you would change? Well, I clearly I'm going first because you need time to think of your answer.
Mhm.
And I think, actually, unfortunately, I'm also in the boat of not really knowing what I would change. I've answered this question so many times within World of Warcraft. I think, what? I think actually what I will say is I think it'd be really good if they changed how Exile's reach worked.
Oh,
So, yeah, I've been thinking about this because the original starting zones are great,
okay.
but you could revamp them if you wanted to. However, Exile's Reach should be a younger person friendly area where kids, under a certain age with their accounts, when they're registered, if you're under 18, you get put into Exile's Reach to learn about the game, learn about interactions.
Okay.
And from there you're kind of taken through on a different journey than when you would do as like someone slightly older going into Elwyn Forest, or kind of doing sort of the kind of Undercity, Lordaeron sort of side of things, Tirisfal Glades. You have a different kind of journey through that. That's kind of the story. But Exile's Reach has a different purpose of not just teaching how to play the game, but also how you interact with other people within the game, and that kind of, but then kind of keeps you in Exile's Reach for a little bit longer than it already does, and kind of helps sort of teach kids within the game what to look for to interact and what not to look for.
Okay.
I think that would be a really interesting way of utilizing Exile's Reach to kind of better the new generation of WoW gamers. Teaches them, okay, yeah, when you get to end level, there is this thing called arena. There are raids that you can go to. But before that, you can do dungeons, and what kind of, okay, if someone whispers you from that, you know what? Best to kind of like make sure that you kind of know this person and don't kind of accept whispers from people you don't know. All the kind of stuff that you should be taught anyway. could be in there as a way to do it, because that would be an interesting angle for Blizzard to be like, you know what, WoW actually is a kid-friendly game because we have these measurements in place.
I almost feel like it should be for everybody now. You say that because
I mean, obviously, it probably should be from everyone, but it should be for everyone that kind of joins new. But I think under a certain age bracket, this would be a perfect way for, as you say, like when you first play the game, you just log on, you run around, and you kill stuff. But I was lost when I was a kid.
Yep.
I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing.
yeah.
I obviously Questy didn't exist. None of these things existed. If Questy did exist, or like it got to eventually in Kata and etc., where you're able to properly find your way around for quests, then I would have been end level, no time at all. Would have been fine. I would have ended up doing all kinds of content. But if you don't have that and you're starting off and you're still a bit lost and you're just wandering around the Panda Isle or all other different bits, not knowing where to go, going to Exile's Reach and being taught all of that anyway would be fantastic. Because let's face it, we don't play retail for the leveling experience. We play retail for the end game.
What? No, totally. I totally play it for the leveling experience.
Okay, right, sure you do. Let me see that boosting money. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But it's I think that would be a really great way to kind of learn what the game's about and what it can bring you and what you're working towards. And they're like, and your kid comes up to you and goes like, daddy, I learned today, like I've got to get to the end level so I can do all these cool little raids and find out what happens at the end of the story. Like, yeah, great, that sounds good. You just keep doing it. And that's what, and then they have a direction, and then once you leave the Exile's Reach, when you feel, and you can only do that by clicking like a button to be ready to go, you then get taken to the main city and you get shown around again like you do nowadays. So there, perfect, done. And then,
I like it.
So you know where you're going, and that'd be great.
That's like it. John, make it happen.
Yeah,
do it.
Make it happen.
Yeah, Holly, make it happen. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm not talking about basically not on the main topic, but talking about Plunderstorm. I would like the NPCs to have their AI upgraded to PvP. So,
ooh, yes.
Make it so then up the difficulty a little bit. And part of that is because I'm gonna steal the thunder a little bit. See what I did there? Steal the thunder a little bit from the news, but
Steal my plunder.
Steal my plunder from the thunder down under. I think I'd like to see because then that whole argument of the number of people out there that are complaining that Plunderstorm is PvP, that it's battle royale, that I don't like it. All the PvE diehard collectors that are upset that they have to do something they don't like to do so they can get the pirate mog that they actually didn't have to do at all because there's 2 other colorization versions of it hitting the trading post in 4 days. But whatever. I for the people that wanted to just PvE their way through Plunderstorm, I'd like to, make them have to actually PvP it a little bit. Make them.
Well, they're still PvEing. They're just fighting bots instead.
Well, yeah. Well, they're fighting bots regardless, but make it so that the NPCs actually fight back a little bit better and aren't so easy. Those things, they flop. They are so easy to kill.
Yeah, of course.
Not that hard.
I think the technology definitely will be there where they can do that. I just think they know that they're making them easy so that people that just want to run in and PV, which by the way, I don't get. I don't get that personally. I feel like if you go in and do that, you must be bored. Like surely the fun is just finding people and attacking them rather than kind of running around the map and just killing things that don't fight back. Like it's sort of pointless at the end of it. I understand, you're trying to get sort of the transmog and things, but it just feels ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, I think that sounds like a great idea. I think I'm definitely keen for that. Get in that whole comp stomp AI.
Exactly. Well, even that AI isn't great, but yeah, let's up it. Even that one would be better than what they already are. All right, let's roll into the news and we'll actually talk about Plunderstorm in just a second.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. So obviously Plunderstorm, it dropped to 10.2.6 actually dropped just over a week ago, last reset. So Plunderstorm, we don't know exactly how long it's going to last. They said it was going to last for a number of weeks. I believe they said season 4 is going to start in several weeks. So if you want to guess that, we have probably 4 to 5 weeks of Plunderstorm. Maybe less, we'll see. But kind of alluded to it, but the community kind of imploded on itself. It was kind of interesting. The number of PvE community, the PvE side of the community, very upset that a major patch, if they will, like this major unknown thing was dropping, and it ended up being PvP centric. They found very, very upsetting that they had to PvP in order to participate in part of this. I thought that was very interesting. I wasn't able to play it right away. I wasn't able to really play it until last weekend, just because my work was really, really busy. I'm not. Did you get in first night there, Jake, or did you have to wait a little bit before you're able to play Plunderstorm?
No, I definitely I got in. I think I lie. I didn't play it the first night.
Okay.
I don't think I could. I played it a couple nights later though, and got in pretty easily. No issues. Played a couple of games. It's not my cup of tea. I think me and my arena partner basically decided it wasn't for us. We didn't massively like it. I'm not a massive battle royale person anyway, but it was interesting. I think it was fun for definitely to give it a try. So for sure, I think it's an interesting concept. As I said, I'd probably want to play it if it was like a more arena centric, sort of more PvP focused kind of thing instead of kind of running around the map. But with time, maybe we'll see that happen. But I mean, I think the biggest thing that we should really talk about and just kind of make known is the fact that so many people think it's the future of WoW.
Right?
Pretty much WoWs, and a lot of other people are saying that this is the future of competitive WoW PvP, and I'm desperate for that not to be the case.
Yeah, me too.
So please, guys, please don't do that, because Arena is so fantastic as it is. We've got the changes just need to happen. I know that Blizzard could do it to make it a real big thing, but they need to listen to the community more. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that. We talked about that too much, but I found that to be quite depressing.
I feel like that point of view, and I suspect that in 2 weeks, those same people are going to be like, "This is boring. I'm tired of it." But I think what they really liked is the short queue time. Boom, they're right into the game. They're right into the queues. They're right into the next match. And there's an opportunity for a little bit of skill play, but it's just quick, fast, and fun, right? And I think a number of high end PvP gamers are, when you go from 45-minute PvP queue or DPS queues in Solo Shuffle to a 3-minute Battle Royale queue. Yeah, of course, you want that. That's the future. I mean, let's be honest, they're the same ones that were chanting RSS was going to be the future when it was Solo Shuffle Brawl, and then the first season of Rated Solo Shuffle, when everybody was queuing and the queues were super fast and it was a lot of fun. Up until, I think it was season 1 at the very tail end, when they were all like super high rated and they were at the MMR cap, and they weren't able to progress, and then they were complaining, and that's when the complaining started. So, I think that's really what they're like chanting for, is that speed of queuing, that speed of getting into games, the speed of being able to play. Yeah, sure, it's totally fun and able to jump in and play. I played on the weekend. Queues were fast. Running around the initial starting zone was kind of cool. The thing I found is that the first game I played, I lasted kind of okay. Then I died because I was just learning stuff and I didn't know any better. The second and third game was super frustrating, because like the second game, I went in and I landed and I killed an elite because I landed on him, and there was a person that followed right in behind me and landed right on top of me, and so then they stole the superpower from the elite mob, and then they killed me with it. And that was annoying. And then
sounds like you got PvP'd, Gerissar.
I did, but like right off, I was like level 1. I didn't even do anything, which these people running around stealing my stuff. I'm like, God damn it, and then killing me with it. That sucked.
Sounds like you need to get good or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of did. Well, it was my second game, right? I think it was the fourth game was the weirdest one, where I was running around. I was leveling up on some mobs, getting some abilities, and this person ran up and typed to me, "Kill me," And so I wailed on them, and they were like 2 levels higher than me, but I still just, it just took me a little longer. I killed them, and then they flopped over, and I took all their stuff, and I'm like, thanks, and off I went. And okay, but yeah, there's some people out there, they get like X level, they get their quest done, and then they just die. The other one I heard it's super spiteful was people who don't want a PvP, and especially when it gets towards the end, what they'll do is they'll run deep into the storm and die there so that nobody can get their loot, so they can't get plundered if it looks like they're going to die. So that's been happening as well. That's kind of weird to me, but again, yeah, it's an interesting game. People doing things. And all this to say, play it if you want. Play it if you don't want, or don't play it if you don't want. Don't feel like you have to. The transmog is all going to end up on the training post in April. So, just, use your attendees, have fun, save your sanity. But yeah. I think the other thing that came with 10.6, I should probably mention, there's the pet drop on Twitch. I know, Jake, you were saying that you're getting points while you're watching the stream while we're recording, right?
Of course, yeah. I've got to multitask. Got to get that stuff done.
Yeah, I do like the crustacean. It's a really cool looking pet. So yeah, I actually got mine earlier in the week when I was able to watch Annie Fuchsia. I think last weekend, it was Saturday, she was streaming. She was practicing for the creator event this weekend, so got to watch her. She's pretty. I do enjoy her. She's actually a really good streamer. So, and being EU, Saturday morning I can watch because she's several hours ahead, and so yeah.
Perfect.
Hot fixes. There's always hot fixes. A majority of them were for the Plunder Storm, so there's a bunch of fixes they did for that. There was an issue on the PvP side, so some people might have noticed when 10.2.6 dropped, you weren't getting splintered Sparks of the Dream from PvP. That was a bug, so they fixed that. Huzzah! Which is awesome. There was also, let's see here, this is a neat one. Priests, the holy priest, their Lightwell was able to actually heal allies sometimes when they were in Cyclone. So that got fixed. Yeah. And other than that, I think that's really about it for PvP. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of stuff for Plunderstorm again, but I don't know. I'm not really going to consider that a serious PvP, so we're not going to go through that. But I think those. Did you see anything else in the hotfixes? I didn't see much else.
No, not much else kind of as interesting on that front.
Okay. I think Season of Discovery, Phase 3 also got announced. And I forgot to put the link for that in our show notes. My apologies. I'm going to do that right now while we
how
live
dare
editing. You? I know. So that said, their Phase 3 is going to go live on the 4th of April. Another great video done on YouTube by Blizzard, kind of talking about it, talking about new runes, talking about new incursions of Nightmare. So that's a PvE event. There's going to be another PvP event that's going to be installed. The Sunken Temple is going to be the raid this season, this phase, which is, I think, really cool. I remember that's the original version, so that don't get lost in the don't get too lost in the map. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. What do you think about Season of Discovery Phase 3?
I think it's looking quite cool. Personally, not as interested in it. I know that there's not an actual dedicated PvP event for it, but I mean, I've been so tempted every now and then to level, but I just haven't had the time. Too much focus on other different things, and I think this is the problem that we've got is that we're also split all over the place. Mm-hmm. But I think it seems really good. I love the dev interactions. It's just everything's quite big and just getting a lot of attention and getting a lot of support. And I think it's clearly going to be really fun for everyone that's currently involved in Season of Discovery.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are really excited for it. Should be good. We'll see. We'll see. I personally, yeah, right back at you, chat. Yeah, it's a matter of time. I have very limited time, let alone to play retail. If I give that up to play SOD, like literally, it's give it up, right? Like it's one or the other. Um, and honestly, I think it's cool for those who can play it. If that's what gets you going, then enjoy it. Hey, if anything, let us know what you think. Right? Popping over, tell us what you think. Love to hear about it. Next one, season 4. So the PTR is now open with 10.2.6 with the season 4 stuff. So of course, then there's data mining that's happening all throughout. There's a forum post now talking about what the PTR, what the development notes are for that. A lot of it is PvE centric. It's all talking about the changes that they're made to for Mythic Plus. So that's changing how the dungeons scale, all the different affixes and when they are implemented, and the gear drops that then depending on the key level, it's all changing. So it's pretty big actually. Obviously there's the tier sets that they want to put in. That's there as well. So that's based off of the voting that happened earlier this season, and whether using season 1, season 2, or season 3 tier sets, and figuring that out. So if anybody's interested, go ahead, give them your feedback. It's obviously still in development. They can still make some changes, but yeah, I don't know. I know it was all PvE people that really set what the tier sets were going to be. I'm a little disappointed and just kind of like shook my head and resigned to that fact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Sad.
Yeah. We'll see we'll see. I actually just clicked on the link again. I just realized that they don't have the tier sets there. I don't know where they had them. Maybe it's in the data mining that Wowhead did that I saw what they were. I glanced at them, but there's a few. It's like, really, that again? You just kind of have that feeling.
I need to have a look. I need to have another look at them as well.
Yeah,
but
I
don't think there's anything wrong with having tier set in PvP. But I just think they need a PvP specific tier,
right?
Yeah. So like it's sort of one that gives you a slightly different thing depending on what your classes. I think the best example is the TBC tier sets. They were fantastic. I think the obviously the like that the kind of combination of things kind of gave you some extra bits and pieces, like sort of you get a bit more resilience, but then also you get a bit longer range on your cyclone, or you get this. Those sort of things were great. Those are kind of the better concepts, but everything has to be bigger and better nowadays to kind of excite people, whereas they don't understand PvPers just want balanced PvP. They'll literally sort of get down on their knees and go to town on someone else just to get that sort of thing. Get consistency. They don't need the extra bits and pieces. They just want a proof of skill. So
true. Yeah. The gear is just part of the means, but at the end of the day, they want you want to do skill, not just who can push their buttons faster and do more damage.
Exactly. Nobody wants a PV fest.
No. I think I did enjoy the world PvP sets. Those are fun. And
that's a cool concept.
It was. And I feel like that could have been built on a bit, but yeah, having the PvE tier sets work in PvP, even if they're tuned a bit down or up, I still felt kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, I think yeah, I agree with you, chat. I think I'd rather the tier sets were just disabled in PvP. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Anyway, if you see something you don't like, I mean, they're still listening. The season hasn't started yet, so by all means, give your opinion on the tier sets, and maybe they'll change it. Hopefully, they change it. All right, next piece of news, and then we have two more, and then we're done. So sub numbers. We haven't heard sub numbers for years upon years. During the Gamer Development Conference, the what's his title again? President. So this is John Height. He's been showing up in videos a bit more and a bit more. He did go to a gamer conference and talked about sub numbers. So it's really interesting that they obviously have an understanding that every time an expansion comes out, they get huge sub numbers, and then as the patches trail, the sub numbers kind of dwindle until the next major expansion. And that's what they expected. But then it was interesting to see what they thought was going to happen and what actually happened between Shadowlands and then Dragonflight. So overall, in between there was also Classic that came in, and then the follow-up, the Burning Crusade and the Wrath of the Lich King Classic, which I think actually kind of bolstered the numbers a bit more. It's probably the only thing that really kind of kept the game afloat as it is right now. They don't have a breakdown, I don't believe, between the two. There's just overall sub numbers. So this is, I think, very interesting because it also doesn't reflect how many people were the PvP players versus PvE players, and I know that's kind of hard because there's people that do both. You can't really delineate between people. I mean, there's a number of people that don't do either. They just run around in RP, and there's some people that all they do is level and then they delete a character and then level again. Like that's what they like to do. So be it. That said, I think overall the most interesting part to me was the fact that between Shadowlands and Dragonflight, we didn't see the rebound that they normally see up to the peaks. In fact, a lot of people I think were disillusioned after Shadowlands, and that said, they are expecting that with the War Within, that they're going to get a full bounce back, at least to where is it? Yeah, at least to some of the more previous stuff that we might have seen before Shadowlands, like WoD and that. I don't think we'll ever get back to Wrath of the Lich King days, but I mean, still get pretty high up there. It seems like number-wise, they're pretty happy with around the 4 million mark, I guess, as far as like the normal level, and then the peaks the peaks are above that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think War Within? Do you think they're going to get what they think they're going to get, or do you think otherwise?
I think they might do for a little while. Depends on how good it is. It depends on how good the story is. Depends on how good the gameplay is. Depends how good the PvP is. If all of it's good and they learn from every single lesson and they implement everything well, then yeah, I don't doubt that they could do it. It definitely has the potential for it. Because the thing is, when the game is in a really good place and people talk about it, more people come back. Think about all the people that have left the game, especially at the start of Dragonflight or elsewhere. They'll come back to it when eventually they learn that actually, you know what, I can do, and this is awesome. Why not?
Fair.
I believe.
I hope. I don't know. We'll see. I don't disagree. The more people talking about it, the more people get interested, the more people get excited, the more people come and play, and it carries on that way. I mean, it's an MMO. If your friends are playing, you want to play with your friends, you play too, right? I hope. I think so. There's two things I see here. One is money talks. So we've asked for changes for years. They weren't listening. People stopped playing. Numbers dropped below what they wanted to. Now they're listening. If numbers come back up, I hope that it's that they keep listening and that they don't go, okay, we did good enough, and they get lazy again.
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to go back to the same. So
exactly.
I don't know if that will happen. Time will only tell. But that is definitely one of my major concerns, is that at the end of the day, they will get lazy again, enjoy the money coming, they're printing money again, so they'll just sit back and enjoy the money. And then I don't want to see people fired. I don't want to have to speak with money, but at the end of the day, they are a business, and they're there to make money. They're there to make a game that then earns them money, and we have to decide whether we spend that money on them or not. So, yes, and you're right. I don't know, the cinematic. I don't know. I enjoyed the cinematic. If you didn't enjoy it, so be it. I don't think cinematics have ever really told the quality of a game. I mean, if you look at the cinematics, Shadowlands was going to be a really kick-ass patch or expansion, and yeah, here we are. Anyways,
here we are indeed. Here we are indeed.
Indeed.
But I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was actually going to say. I was going to segue into the last bit for you.
Go for it, please.
Because obviously, talking about things that they have done right, the way that the PvP goodies are looking for season 4, with the new Gladiator mount as being a reskin in season 1, which should have been them all. To be fair, nobody wanted the Slither Drakes, but but the season 1 Gladiator mount, now season 4 but recolored as purple, looks fantastic. Even the enchant looks cool. That kind of bronze illusion looks pretty interesting.
I like that.
I think it looks nice. Definitely not as good as the Shadow Flame one, for sure. The Shadow Flame one was really good. I'm really glad I got that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. I'm not saying it isn't. I think this is an interesting look. Definitely will help you make some cool transmogs. But I think overall, I'm looking forward to season 4. I'm looking forward to smashing it.
Cool. I'm hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that I'm hesitant only because of the PvP tier, the PvE tier sets, and just being season 4, higher all the stats. I mean, we're gonna be eye level 502 starting, I think is the PvE gear. The PvP conquest is gonna be 5. Like stats are gonna be monsters. We're gonna be chunking through some major health pools. Sure, we're going to be doing some massive numbers. You're going to see like some astronomical numbers similar to what we saw before stat squishes. And I fear that even with the tier set, depending on the tier sets and that, I fear we're going to be into another melee overrun. Unless we see like some major hotfixes come through, which is possible. But I think we're going to see just a continuation, assuming that doesn't happen, we're going to see continuation of where we are right now with double casters comps going into major dampening. Otherwise, you're going to get overrun by some DHX comp or Ret Warrior comp just steamrolling you because push buttons die. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. That's all.
We will see, indeed. We'll wait and see, because I don't. The only thing I can say is that I'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm excited.
You're excited. I'm hesitant. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's do. What's your shout out today, Jake?
Well, I am going to shout out. You know what? I'm actually going to shout out to Toxic, actually, on Twitter.
Who?
Toxic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Toxic. Oh, we didn't cover that in the news. Shoot, I missed that.
We missed that. But I don't think. Where was it? I don't see it in the news.
So
anymore.
It wasn't really in the news. So yeah. So Toxic. Quick revamp. Toxic applied, got accepted into the community, the council. Did a introduction post. Went to do a big post about MMR. Went and asked the community for a whole bunch of feedback about MMR, and then 3 days later said that they were no longer in council.
Yeah, very strange. And I wanted to shout that out because I feel like her participation and the effort that went into that was very admirable. So
yes,
go give her a follow on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or X.
Please. TAKHSICK. She's a good streamer. She's very avid, very passionate PvP player. So I actually whispered with her for a little bit, and she confirmed that she's still going to actually take the data that she got about MMR and compile it and do what she was going to kind of do, but provide it through some through a friend that she has, and hopefully that will get somewhere to people that can make some decisions. So
Be
we'll
useful.
see. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so not totally lost, but still, I wish she had kept, or they would have kept their spot in the council, because definitely a passionate player, knowledgeable.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened though. It's
Neither am I.
they're not talking about it. It's just it's what happened. But I will say, so in another Discord, this came up when we were talking about it, and somebody was mentioning that first and foremost, the council isn't what the council's become now isn't what it was originally broadcasted as. There's like no devs that talk. There's no interaction. And what little interaction, if it happens, is they start asking for achievements, and if you can't link achievements high enough, then you get snubbed and ghosted. So yeah, which sounds, I don't know. It's like, oh, if you're not a multi-glad, then they won't talk to you.
Yeah.
So, because
But we should still, community should still community though, so it should still should still matter.
I agree.
Well, what's your shout out then, Gerissar?
I'm gonna actually shout out my wife again. She's taking me out we're going for a spin on the town this weekend. So no, I got told that apparently Friday we're going for a drive to a nearby city to go see family, and we're gonna spend we're gonna go do Easter long weekend with a bunch of family. Something that we haven't done since before COVID. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. So
well, I did some research on what you said about that, and I thought it'd be a bit further away than what you said. And I realized that Canada is just big. Canada is big.
It is.
And I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
so anyway, enjoy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's gonna be a good 5 hours, probably a little bit longer because traffic and going through the city with the whole family in the car. So yay! But it's good. It'll be fun. But yes, Canada's really big, man. It's
yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, it's up there. Okay, how about this though, Jake? Can you tell our listeners where they can find us and all the other wonderful things on the internet?
Yes, TreesapJake, can tell you exactly where that is, and you can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Production Discord. And on top of that, you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory, the directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system. So head on over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. Oh, that was a really badly timed burp. Trying not to do that in the microphone. All right. Yeah. What a way to end the show. Anyways, look for everything that we talked about are going to be in the show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.